All right, I got a friend of mine on, Chris Iannotti. He's in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to be talking about creative deal structure, seller financing, subject to all that kind of stuff. And Chris is in Nashville, Tennessee, and he's with Real Estate Misfits. So, Chris, what is Real Estate Misfits all about?
Real Estate Misfits started with me and a couple other guys here in Nashville that are licensed real estate agents. We started doing networking events to try to discuss these creative deals and different things that we were doing. The retail market was kind of slow, and so we started doing subject to purchases. We started doing some wholesale deals, and we just wanted to kind of spread awareness. We are kind of the oddballs in the industry in that regard. Been a lot of discussion nationwide about wholesaling. Some agents are under the impression that it's illegal or that it's shady or there's something wrong with it. And we just want to spread awareness that it's an actual viable exit strategy that is completely legal. I share some of the sentiments, though. I understand the concern. There are a lot of unlicensed people out here trying to wholesale and sell properties off market and don't really know what they're doing and are kind of giving the exit strategy a bad name. So we personally, a lot of us feel like you should be a licensed agent or at least have been a licensed agent at some time in order to wholesale and sell property. I mean, it is a huge transaction and there's a lot of legal responsibility involved, but it is a legal strategy and it is a viable exit strategy for the seller in particular situations.
Okay, because I love being able to have somebody like yourself on and, you know, give us the lowdown, the blueprint. And because you're in the game, you can tell us some kind of real life stories of how this stuff works in the moment. And I kind of want to start there. And again, I don't want to give anybody's personal information or anything away, but maybe we can kind of just dig into the basic structure of how this stuff works and why it was important to do it this way versus more of a traditional way. So, do you have maybe an example, something recent that we can kind of dig into?
Sure, absolutely. So for the wholesale deal, a particular situation that happened, we had a seller that we called. It was an expired listing. They were on the market for 120 days, couldn't get their property sold. They were at $650,000 in a great neighborhood. I called those qualified leads, those expired listings, call them up. Hey, can we talk price? Can I see if I can help you maybe get the property sold? They've already had a bad experience with a real estate agent, and I listened to them. I let them talk. And that's the biggest part of all of this is it's about finding the solution for the seller, not what I think works best for them or what I want to do. It's listening to the seller and what situation they're in and what their experience has been. After learning that their experience with a realtor was less than awesome, they were not interested in going back on the MLS. They had also just moved to California. Their property is here in Nashville. They didn't have family or anyone there to help me do a bunch of showings, schedule open houses. I was able to get access to the property and it needed some work, man. It was definitely in need of a full rehab. Not a gut rehab, but it needed updating, paint, new flooring, things of that nature. They had left kind of in a hurry. So the option was either, hey, I could wholesale your property if you give me the number that absolutely works for you. And I look at the comps, I do some underwriting and see what the difference might be. I can take, so in this situation, they went from $650,000 on the market not being able to sell. His price to me was $500,000. If you can bring me $500,000 that I can walk away with, I would be happy with that. I looked at the comps in the area, they were up to 600, 625, 650 was definitely high. But now I've got a huge bubble I can play with, right? There's equity there. So I send him a contract, $500,000. I explained to him, hey, I'm going to sell this paper. I'm going to sell this contract to another buyer, probably another investor that's going to come in, rehab the property, either put it back on the market and sell it, or they're going to put a renter in there, long-term buy and hold situation. So I tacked down a $20,000 assignment fee. Anyone that brought the buyer, they would get a portion of that assignment fee, or they would add on that fee themselves for their buyer to pay. So the seller is not responsible for paying 6% commission. The buyer is coming along, paying their representative for finding them the property, paying for closing costs. There are no inspections, there are no appraisals, and the seller walks away with the money that he wanted without having showings 4 or 5 times a week, having to keep the house tidy, deal with the negotiations. Like, that's his number. We either get him his number or we don't, and we walk away.
Right.
So that's a typical situation of a wholesale deal. It doesn't work on market sometimes because maybe there's no equity. Maybe they just recently bought in the boom where they were, in bidding wars with a bunch of people and they overpaid for the property. The appreciation has not gone up enough yet to where they have a decent amount of equity where they can afford to pay 6% to a real estate agent and pay closing costs and things of that nature. So it just makes more sense. Like, let me get whatever I owe the bank because my job is transferring me, or I have a sick family member out of state and I'm going to move, whatever the situation might be, right? A divorce. I don't have the equity. I need to sell the property. I cannot sell it on the market. This is what I need to pay off the bank. If I can make 5, 10, 15, 20,000, some people, and they're getting huge assignment fees out there. I don't believe in doing that. And I also don't believe in keeping it a secret or pretending to be the end buyer to my seller. We're very honest and transparent at Real Estate Misfits. We tell our sellers that, hey, we're probably going to sell this paper. It doesn't work for us as an end buyer or as an investment property. But if we can help you out and get you the dollar amount that you need, then we're going to try. We'll give it a shot and try and do that for you.
So a couple things. The end buyer, what did they do with the property? And then two, how did you and the seller get to that $500,000 number? So I'll do that one last. But the first question, back to the buyer, like, what was their strategy? Buy it and then invest into it, rehab it?
Yeah, they were going to rehab the property, and then they were planning on putting a long-term renter in there, either long-term or mid-term rental. So like short-term rentals here in Nashville, they have cracked down quite a bit as far as the regulations and how you can actually do a short-term rental legally. So mid-term rental is another option. We have a guy that we work with closely, Will Dotson, that does mid-term rental. He has contracts with insurance companies. So when a family is displaced due to a natural occurrence, a flood, the house burns down, there is a natural disaster like the tornadoes we just had a few months ago here that ripped through Clarksville. People were displaced. You got a family, husband, wife, 3 kids, and a dog. The insurance company can't likely put them up in a hotel. That's not a comfortable lifestyle for a whole family. So what they do is look at houses. You got a 3-bedroom house with a backyard for the dog that they can rent for 6 months and live in, fully furnished. The insurance companies pay handsomely for that, usually 3 times what the market rent is for that family to stay there for that extended period of time while they get their housing squared away. So it's another exit strategy that people are using, and they're thriving on it. And it's kind of, I don't want to say loophole because it's perfectly legal as well, but it's just something that no one has really thought of yet for a solution to the short-term rental problems that we're having.
So in that example, I mean, again, maybe you can just ballpark it. How much would have been needed to be able to invest in before they put it up for rent?
Yeah, so 500,000 purchase price. We had $150,000 for the total rehab. That's furnished, brand new looking, everything looking great. Furnished the property with beds, linens, kitchen items, all that kind of stuff. And then they would probably get somewhere around $6,000 to $7,000 a month. So you can easily do the math on what their monthly expenses probably were, somewhere around $3,000, $3,500 a month, depending on their loan, whatever they were using as an instrument to get the property, and at least doubling that, making 100% profit every month.
Okay, so you're saying, hey, we probably need to put in over 100K just to rehab the property, get it into tip-top shape, plus all the other stuff it takes, the linens and the stocking the properties and all that stuff. So
yeah.
With that being said, that 650K listing was never going to sell at 650 because I needed a lot of work. Right?
Absolutely. 650 was the price of like brand new construction just a block away was going for 700,000. And this was a house that was about 15 years old that needed a full rehab, full update.
Okay. And so I guess that's kind of where we have this inefficiencies of markets, right? Because pricing a house is kind of all over the place as prices have gone up so much in the last 3 or 4 years coming out of COVID. A lot of people just don't even know how to value something or what to expect. And so I guess you put it out there, think you're going to get it, and just sits there for 10 years or whatever.
Now you're in my wheelhouse, but now we're talking about things that are controversial, and depending on who you talk to, they have different ideas about valuation, right, and underwriting. So actually, this one subject I love to talk about is underwriting in the financial world is looking at your potential borrower, right, and the details of the deal. In my world, underwriting is looking at the potential deal and breaking down the house and the comparables in the area. Everyone runs comps differently, right? I've really been dialing in and learning that you have to get as close to the exact subject property as you can. not just in geographical location, but also square footage, year it was built, bedroom sizes, floor plans, 1 story, 2 story, is there a basement, isn't there one? Because that is how a deal can get completely blown up and won't make sense, and the seller gets stuck wondering why they couldn't sell their house, right? When they have a professional that comes in their home and shows them some comps that are not really comps. You cross one major highway, the numbers completely change. You enter a different subdivision, it's completely different, right? So to give sellers an accurate expectation is what is going to keep our names as far as real estate professionals in good standing with the community in general, nationwide, worldwide. If you have other professionals in your market that are going and telling sellers, I can get you $700,000-800,000 for your property, but that's not accurate, that's not feasible. Now these sellers have this expectation, that's what they can get, and when they're not getting it, they can't understand why. And someone like me comes along like, hey, listen, this is the truth, this is the accurate facts about what we get your property. It's significantly less than what you're told, and I'm sorry, but depending on your situation, I can still help you. And a seller's going to say, well, you're just trying to lowball me and bring me lowball offers. And that's not what it is. We got to look at what the market really dictates. And those are facts. That's not an opinion. And I think for a while there, as well as I do, we were going through a time in the market where people were grossly overpaying for their homes, knowing that and being okay with it because they were so tired of the bidding wars and not being able to get properties and getting outbid on properties. And they desperately wanted to buy and take part in this home ownership, which is obviously very smart investment. And so I think that's kind of how we got in this position. Right now, sellers are super high, buyers are coming in super low, and everyone's kind of at a standstill.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot, but does any data come to mind in terms of just outlining what's happening from either a number of transactions standpoint or sitting on market or, year over year or comparing things?
Yeah, I wish I had like numbers written down for you, but we do look at these things, right? The macro data of what is going on in our market. We're noticing days on the market are going up. We're noticing that prices of homes are going up. The inventory is low. So that's telling you that obviously the demand is still there. So the prices are going to be higher. The good thing about Nashville, though, is the population is steadily growing. The workforce is steadily growing. The salaries, what they're paying is at about a 10% increase every year. So we have that in our favor, but we don't have the inventory in the favor. Houses are sitting because they're priced too high. Buyers are out there, they're looking. I'm talking to 7 or 8 buyers right now that are end buyers looking to buy property, whether it's creative finance or it's through a retail lender. It's an interesting market that we're in right now. I think once rates start to go down, we're going to be back in the same boat we're in, where a bunch of buyers are going to come out. And they're going to see the deflated inventory and they're going to end up paying more for a property and just taking a little bit longer before they can actually show significant equity.
Yeah. I have a few more questions about just Nashville markets in general, but I want to just take a step back. So from a just tactical standpoint, going back to the structuring of that deal. So, like a wholesale assignment, how would you kind of just frame that verbiage of what that looks like? Because it's different than your traditional listing agreement, right? So how do you describe kind of that paperwork or contract? What's the difference?
Yeah. So basically all an assignment is, it's the right to assign the contract or the rights of the contract. And sub 2 is another good one to talk about, man. Like wholesaling deal is pretty easy for a real estate investor or a new guy getting into real estate. Wholesaling is the quickest way to make some cash, right? You get somebody's property at a good price, get it under contract, you find an investor that's willing to pay the price with your fee added into it, and you have that clause in the contract that says, I can assign this contract to somebody else. So you go to the closing table and either double close, where I close with my seller, we sign the contract, I own the property, I turn around, go to another desk to my buyer, and I sign that contract with me owning that property over to him. Or we just have them sign the contract originally with the assignment clause that says he is the one that's taking over the contract from me. And so when they go to the closing table, we have it an assignment fee, almost like a commission built into the Alto agreement.
So if
The
I'm
sub 2 deal, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
So if I'm just out here and I say, hey, you know what, I want to learn more about this and I want to do this stuff, how do I go from literally knowing nothing into like my first deal? Like having the paperwork,
YouTube,
having the
YouTube,
know-all.
besides calling me, but YouTube University, man, is a big deal. I'm more than willing and able to help anyone. I have a whole team of misfits behind me that are actually here right now making calls and working on deals right now. But YouTube University, man, Pace Morby's a good one that I follow. There's Brent Daniels. There's so many big names that are out there. Jamil Damji is another one. There's good guys out there that break it down in a simple way, and it's all about your heart, man. I think that's the most important part. If you're out here just trying to make a buck and any way you can, that's not going to be helpful. But if you really want to help other people, help sellers, help buyers find deals, wholesaling is a good way to go about it. It's just another option.
If somebody called you, well, first off, where are they going to find you at? How are they going to get you?
Well, you can find me either on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just look up Real Estate Misfits, and you'll be able to find me.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram as Hustle Dad with 2 D's at the end. Being a father is my favorite job out of all the jobs and different hats that I wear. So I am a hustler, and I love being a father. So Hustle Dad on Instagram or TikTok, you can find me there.
How do you? I mean, if you're new, how do you find a good deal?
So the way that we started was, if you don't have a lot of money to spend on getting lists and paying for virtual assistants to call and scrub lists for you, what I do is I call other agents and I just ask them questions like, hey, you've got this property for sale. Is there any chance you have any other property, maybe off market, that a seller that needs to sell something? Just talk to people in your community that are doing deals already and ask them if there's any way that you can get involved. Or you find a mentor. You find someone that's doing what you want to be doing, and you call them up, or you hit them up online and ask them, hey, can I follow you? Can I come to your office and just listen to you on the phone and try to learn? And if you're a good fit, like me and my partner, Brian Poor, man, once we met, we hit it off. We're like-minded as far as our nonprofit companies that we have and our goal and our kind of mindset on the real estate business in general. And we got a room together, very small office, and just started banging out calls. He brought the list. I brought my expertise on phone calls and being willing to talk to people that I don't know, and just started locking up deals, getting stuff under contract and getting them closed. So that's the easiest, cheapest way to do it. Find a mentor, start working closely, or talk to other professionals in your area.
If there's a realtor out there that, has clients that they're working with, and you come across a deal that probably isn't list worthy, it needs creative deal structure to get to the finish line and get it offloaded. As a realtor, who gets paid commission to, do transactions, what's the incentive to then say work with you on helping them get a deal done? How does that work out?
It's no different. So we were doing a sub-2 deal on another property. The buyer of the deal had a realtor that he was loyal to. They went to church together, and he felt like the realtor should be involved in the transaction. No problem. We talked to the realtor. We negotiated the price, the contract. When it came to commission, the realtor said, well, I want 2.5%. And I kind of laughed because our assignment fee on the deal was $30,000, $15,000 to us, $15,000 to her. 2.5% was actually less than the $15,000 that she was going to be getting. And I tried to explain to her how that worked. I said, well, if I give you 2.5%, you're actually going to make less on the deal. And she had a hard time wrapping her brain around that, because as agents, we know 6% listings, 5% listings, and split that in half, right? So I was like, no, we do a flat fee. And she asked if that was legal. And I explained to her, it's absolutely legal. It's a flat fee rather than a percentage. And that's the only difference, man. Agents can still get paid. Absolutely. Cool. And that's our big goal. That's why we have agents that come in and talk to us all the time, is because they want to learn how can we work together as agents, as investors, as wholesalers, as creative finance guys.
Yeah.
And it's no different. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, so if there's a realtor out there listening to this stuff, right? I mean, if you have questions, reach out to Chris, Real Estate Misfits, Hustle Dad, 2 D's. From a standpoint of that seller, right? Like, he comes and talks to you guys, finalize, the agreement in terms. In that scenario, how long from, okay, we're good to go, everything's confirmed and signed, versus, you have the buyer lined up? Like, how long until you get that buyer in the door?
I tell sellers most of the time in their positions, there's some kind of distrust involved, right? Like, they're not doing this just for fun. I usually tell them, if I can't have a buyer locked up under contract for you within 2 weeks, something's wrong, right? And so within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes if I have a buyer locked up, all we have to do is wait for title work to get done and we're closing.
Okay. So then that buyer, do they bring cash? Do they bring a fix and flip loan, hard money? Like how did they finalize the deal?
Yeah, it's usually through hard money or private money, whatever they have. We just did a subject to deal with a guy who had the seller actually had a private money loan. It was an investor that got in to rehab, was going to hold it long term, decided they didn't want to stay in it. I have another buyer that came along to buy that deal sub to, and he had private money. As long as the funding is there, we have proven funds and a commitment from a lender, good to go.
Okay.
And they do them all day long. Yep.
So, and maybe you have the information and maybe you don't. So like hard money on that deal where you're going to buy it for 500K with an assignment fee, put in money, going to get to an end value. Do you know kind of the structure, how much money they had to bring to the table in terms of down payment?
I think we didn't use hard money on that deal. That buyer did not, but the hard money is extremely expensive. It's a viable strategy for somebody short term, obviously 6 months or something like that. You need to get into a property, get you enough time to get it rehabbed and get it sold. It's not a viable product unless you refinance it right for something that's like a buy and hold. But for that deal there in particular, the buyer that came with the hard money loan was coming in and was going to, believe it or not, was going to sell or finance his deal to another buyer that was going to come in and use it as a rental property. So long story short, the buyer comes in, pays an entry fee that has our assignment fee baked into it. So it gives the seller a down payment, 20,000, gives us 20,000. So he's in 40K cash down. That new buyer that's coming in seller finance is also making a down payment to the buyer, right? To our new seller, and then is also paying more on the interest rate. So if he's got a 8% interest rate with a private money guy, he's going to charge 10% to this guy that's coming in. So he's making percentage, he's making down payment, and then a 3-year balloon. So after 3 years, that debt is going to be paid off completely, and he tacks on another 10 on the back end for himself. So literally, he just played middleman, secured a property, put down 40K up front, and he's going to end up making 50, 60,000 altogether at the end of the day.
Okay.
On a deal that required, minimal effort.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, to kind of do this work, right? Like you're a licensed agent and you're doing this also on top of that. I don't want to say on the side, but it's, there's separate lanes of traditional agent work versus this stuff. Is there anybody on your team that has a full-time job that does this on the side?
Yeah, there's several of us that I would say this is our full-time jobs, and we have side hustles.
Okay.
A lot of us have hospitality backgrounds. So my admin person, Monica Goodman, she's a bartender at the Virgin Hotel part-time. I bartend private events. I was just backstage at Bridgestone Arena working the Pantera and Lamb of God concert. So yeah, we all have little side hustles, but being an agent, being a real estate investor is our passion. It's our goal to do it full time. This market is tough right now. You know what I mean? And a lot of us have other responsibilities. So this is our exit strategies to be able to do this full time. But, while a lot of us that are licensed agents, we have listings, we have buyers that we do traditional deals with. They're just not steady enough and consistent enough right now to where we can rely on that 100%.
If there's a first-time home buyer out there that says, I'm from Nashville, I'm going to stay in Nashville, and I want to buy property, I want to be able to build a portfolio over a period of years, decades, get in from the ground up. Do you have any advice for that person today that's going to buy their first property?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say if you're going to buy your first property, do your research, do your homework first. Try and get pre-approved for a loan. If you can get pre-approved for a loan at a good rate, there are rate buy down options that I'm sure Joel can tell you all about, but do it that way. We do sub-2 deals for buyers when they are extended out on their debt to income and they can't go any further with their credit to buy properties, right? That's one reason why we do those deals with buyers. But do your research, try and get your credit right so you can borrow money. Find somebody that is flipping properties, whatever your exit strategy is, find someone that's doing that and try to learn from them. I'm an equity partner on a deal right now, a triplex unit in Nashville that is got to be completely gutted and rehabbed. But it's 3 units that are going to be midterm and short-term rentals because they're grandfathered in. And I just asked the guy that's selling the property, I'm selling several properties for him. hey, dude, I want to help you on this flip. Like I've flipped many properties myself. I will take care of the property management side of things as far as working with the contractors, getting the bids for you, making sure work is getting done in a timely fashion. You could pay me on the back end. When we get the property reappraised, you pay me a small commission on the back end. I thank you for the experience. And now I can take that money I made from that and roll it into, maybe a flip of my own. So you got to get creative, man. Talk to people that are out here doing the things that you want to do. Again, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, a couple things you mentioned: homework, and then you know, mentorship, and finding the right people. You know, from a geographic standpoint, is there a certain area or couple areas that you would say would be maybe kind of good place that's growing, it's affordable, more affordable than others? Like what is an example of an area that you think could be a viable first home solution?
Yeah, I think the area so I'm late to the party, right? People have been moving to Nashville and been investing in Nashville probably for the last 10 years and doing very well. It's still a hot market, but East Nashville, with the new stadium that's going up, they're building like a new entertainment district on the other side of the river. So East Nashville is on the other side of the Cumberland River from downtown Nashville, where we're sitting right now. And that's a hot market. To the north of the city is an area called Buena Vista and Buena Vista Heights. It was a pretty dilapidated area. You know what I mean? It was poverty stricken. And you are seeing all kinds of new construction where people are buying houses, demoing the houses, and building these taller, skinnier, 3-story houses. And they're selling for $1 million plus when they bought the property for $15,000-$20,000. And so you're seeing entire blocks being transformed. It's gentrification. I know it's a controversial topic as well, but it's inevitable, and it's a good thing to see a neighborhood completely transformed that might have been poverty stricken and full of crime, and see that turned around, some affordable housing, and then also some nicer housing, some higher end stuff. So the north side, the east side, definitely Wilson County is another area. If you're looking to get away from all the busyness and the hubbub of the city, Wilson County, towns like Lebanon, Mount Juliet, where I live, we've sold 3 properties this year already so far in Lebanon alone, and none of them stayed on the market longer than 2 weeks. They're going fast, and they're getting the dollar amount that they're asking for. So yeah, those are kind of in my wheelhouse. Murfreesboro is another hot one. Antioch, Smyrna, these are kind of outliers. But yeah, it's definitely busy here. There's a lot going on.
So what are some of the ways that you would say would be a good path or way to get connected to a good mentor? Let's start with Real Estate Misfits again. So like if somebody wanted to come to your team and get the basics and get some help, how does that work? Do you guys charge fees, coaching, or what's the process?
It's funny that you say that, because we've been accused of trying to be coaches or trying to be something other than what we are. Man, listen, we've all come from different paths, different walks of life. And the one thing that we all share in common is the sincere desire to want to help people, right? So here today, we're at Teddy's Tavern. We're downtown across from the Bridgestone. People reached out to us on social media. Hey, I'm a new wholesaler. I want to come learn from you guys. That doesn't make us a coach. You know what we do? We tell them, hey, come here, meet us on a Tuesday. We'll be here from 10 to 3. We sit in a room together and we call. We start making cold calls. You can hear me on the phone. Now it's your turn. You call. And we give each other advice, suggestions. We share our experience. We're not charging anybody anything. We're not telling anybody you should do what I do. You should listen to what I'm telling you. I'm going to show you what I do. You could take from it what you will, incorporate it or don't. And I can critique you and give you my thoughts on things. But man, if you're trying to do this, we'd rather try to educate people and have them out here doing it responsibly and doing it in a knowledgeable way than going out here and making all of us look bad. So no, we're not charging anybody. Anyone that wants to get with us and learn something, hit any one of us up. We'll tell you, we do network meetings twice a month. It's free. We're at different locations all over Nashville. Come see us, come hang out. Let's get a coffee. Let's talk about your goals. What's your why? Which is a huge one people got to figure out. Don't jump into wholesaling or selling real estate because you think there's so much money. It is a ton of work, man. I've been in real estate for 20 years. And Joel will tell you, I've tried every different avenue possible to try to figure out the cheat code. There is no cheat code. It's hard work. And that's all there is to it, man. So my why, I know what my why is, and you got to know what your why is. What are you doing it for? What's your end goal? What do you want to see happen? And And man, we're almost there. We're getting really close, man. It's a blessing.
So when you're calling somebody out of, cold call, quote unquote cold call, how do you take that and turn it into a viable conversation? How do you connect the dots quickly with somebody over the phone when they don't know who you are?
So law of averages says that you got to make 100 calls to get one lead, right? That's what we've been told in our business for years and years. I'm going against the grain. I believe that we can have a better conversion rate by just getting to the point, not being a cheesy salesman, right? Some guys out there, professionals, are making a lot of money, have a script, a long drawn out script. Mine is simply, is this Joel Farrell at 123 Main Street? Yes, it is. Hey man, I was just curious. I've got some buyers looking in the area. Are you interested in selling your property right now? No, I'm not. Okay. You looking to buy anything else right now? No, I'm not. Do you have any other properties you might be willing to sell? Simple. It took me 10 seconds and now I'm hanging up and I'm back on another call.
Yeah.
And if they say yes, we go through a list of questions, man. So tell me more about the property. What's your motivation for selling? Where are you going to go? Talk to me. Tell me about your life. Tell me what's going on. So I know what exit strategy I can pitch.
Love it.
And that's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you do it in 10 seconds versus the 30-second pitch before you can get somebody to even answer,
twice as many calls, man.
Right.
Twice as many calls. Yeah. And if I got 5 people here doing that same thing, 100 calls turns into 300 calls in a day, 400 calls in a day. So,
yeah.
we did find a little bit of a cheat code.
It's interesting that we're talking about this because, I've been having some conversations with some of my friends, being in the mortgage industry since 2006. And we're in tough times because there's, like we were saying before, there's not a lot of inventory out there. There's people that I know that are getting out of the business. And, as I kind of reflect on things, which is weird to say, I mean, I just turned 40 this year and I feel like I've had a whole lifetime in this industry. And I really kind of hit my stride and kind of got into a certain niche and did open up a lot of doors by cold calling. I had a product, I had a niche in 2012 and 13, and I knocked it out the park with doing cold calling, doing the things that nobody else wanted to do. Right.
Yeah.
I was calling at 6, 7 o'clock at night on different coasts and people were out at the bar. Anyway, I look back on that. It's like, if I can do that, I can do anything. And like, I know, as we were talking about before, because you've been on different sides of this business, including the big commercial lots and stuff that you work with businesses on, right? I mean, you've seen what do you call that again? With the commercial sales, commercial realty sales? What was that? How do you call that? When you worked for the telecom company?
Oh no, the pipelines. I was a landman doing
Land acquisitions.
Yeah. I did that for 14 years. Yeah. Walking up to complete strangers' properties that own hundreds of acres and tell them, hey, I need to come on your land. I want to buy rights to your land. And I've had shotguns shoved in my face. I've been cussed out, yelled at, chased off the property, dogs, sicked on me. I mean, so making a phone call to me is nothing. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah. So it's like, if you can do that stuff, like, in theory, anything's possible. Because again, social media, technology, AI, like sometimes the old way of doing things is good enough and it works better than the new way if you can combine them anyway.
We have people out on the street right now knocking on doors, just knocking on doors, introducing themselves. That's even better than cold calling. We've had more success with door knocking than we have, and no one's doing that. There's other agents out here that when I talk to them, and we love our agents here in Nashville, man, they're well educated. Most of them are very friendly and willing to accept us and listen to us. But when we tell them, they ask us, how are you guys doing this? We tell them we're door knocking and cold calling. They're like, you're door knocking? Well, yeah. Why not?
So I kind of want to tee this up for a future call. Okay. So, from a metrics or number standpoint in terms of the team and the number of deals that are going on and whatnot, I guess like first question for you, what percentage of the deals that have come through your team are traditional deals versus off market or wholesale or sub two, traditional versus non-traditional? What percentage would you say, just ballpark?
Yeah, absolutely. I can keep track of that. We actually just brought on a very well-educated and experienced girl. So our team started off with 2 of us. Now we're up to 6 of us on the team. And this girl that's coming on board is going to really help us track our KPIs. And it's just awesome to see the team come together, man. No one's getting paid. We don't have a payroll. You know what I mean? We get a deal, we close, we spread the wealth, we put some money back for the company's expenses. But we're going to keep track of the KPIs. But right now, I would say 70% of the deals that we're closing are the wholesale deals, and 30% is retail listings, buyers. Yeah. Cool. The bills are getting paid right now.
Yeah. And when? rates say go down by 1% and markets start to pick back up and kind of get closer to maybe a newer normal, what does that mean for kind of deal flow?
Hopefully the deal flow that I'm hoping for, my goal is to have time to show more buyers homes off market and on market, because we do have a list of off market properties that we find, you know, that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, the goal is to not do this wholesaling and creative finance deal forever. It's just a solution to the current market and the situation that we're in, right? I would love nothing more than to have 20 buyers that are looking to buy listed properties that are on the MLS. It's just easier, right? It's a traditional way of doing things. I know how to do that very well. All I'm doing right now is I'm pivoting. Life is giving me lemons. I'm trying to make lemonade,
Right.
but that is the goal, to get back to a normal market and get back to normal traditional transactions.
Okay.
When you're new in a city, it's also difficult too. If you don't have that referral base, you don't have that sphere of influence of people that it makes it a little bit more difficult,
Yeah.
I'm not, the brokerage that I'm with is a cloud-based brokerage. So I don't have an office of other agents I can go in and learn from or team up with or do deals with. It's just a different scenario. I'm working with what I've got.
I love it. Okay. And any other advice or important things that you want to share that?
There is something else, man. Just to all the agents out there, whether you're in the investment world or you're not, I would just suggest and hope that you would just stay open-minded, to alternative ideas and alternative ways of doing things. We come across a lot of times, we call agents with deals that we have. They might be creative finance, and they won't present the offers to their sellers even. And I think that's a disservice to the seller, to their client, and to their fiduciary duties as a real estate professional, because you don't understand exactly how it works. I've been hung up on by different realtors. I've been reported to the board suggesting that I'm doing something wrong by doing what we're doing. And obviously I've not been in any trouble. I've never had any complaints ever, successfully filed against me or anything like that. But just be open-minded. It works. It works for a seller in a position, and we're making money at the same time. That's a fringe benefit. But again, above and beyond anything else, we are helping our clients with a specific need. And it's no different than doing a traditional deal. When you help somebody that's in need, they are going to refer you business. They are going to thank you. They are going to be grateful. And it's good karma, man. It comes back around on you, So that'd be my only other advice. If you have questions about creative finance deals or creative finance offers or a wholesale deal, just ask around.
I love it. I love it.
Ask someone that's doing those deals, Yeah.
So definitely want to stay in touch on this stuff, as deals come through your lane, because I have people that come and ask me questions about this stuff every now and then. So like, if there's a unique deal that comes up that you think it'd be worthwhile to share some details on structuring and things like that, like just, if you can take some notes, let me know. Because this is an important topic, especially because we're in a new normal. We're in a new normal and just weird times.
It's crazy that whole concept. I had never seen someone buy a property subject to and then turn around and seller finance that same deal to somebody else for where they're making money. Like, it's crazy. So it's ever changing, but I definitely, yeah, we'll have to get you on a group chat with a couple of my partners and get them on board too. It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
and we'd love to have a Q&A session too with some agents, man, sometime, and answer their questions that they might have about the subject, and maybe they don't feel comfortable enough just asking anybody about it. We can do it here publicly, privately, whatever.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we can put an event out there and spread the word and get some people.
I would love that.
Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, last thing. What's your favorite thing about Nashville, and what's the thing that surprised you about Nashville?
I think what surprised me about Nashville is the amount of people that are coming here from other states, man. Like, seriously, 95% of the people I meet are from other states. But regardless of that, everyone is really friendly, man. It's the smallest big city I've ever been to. Everyone is super friendly. Us in this real estate community, we all seem to know each other, the same people. And I think that's my favorite part about it, man. It's like everyone here is really willing to help each other, willing to connect and network, and trying to see how we can help each other.
So just like Chicago, right?
Super competitive, huh?
Just like Chicago, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Very, very similar. Just like St. Louis, everyone's super helpful in St. Louis. It's awesome. I miss it.
Okay, so
I'll be in big trouble when I go back now.
Right? What's the one thing that surprised you?
Just the sheer amount of the growth. I'm looking out the window right now and there's 4 different cranes outside the property building new construction. Like you would think after 10, 12 years that it would start to slow down, and there's no signs of it stopping anytime soon. $15 billion just got injected into the city for the new stadium and the new entertainment districts and stuff that they're trying to build in
Holy
anticipation for that. And that's just this one. There's another project going on in Germantown, the Gulch, steady growing. It's just insane, the amount of growth. So there's plenty of money to be made still. It's not too late.
Okay. Just like real estate. Going away. Never going away.
Never going away. Only up, baby. Only
right.
up.
Yeah, that's right. The long term. All right, man. We'll stay in touch here, and we'll have you on soon again with some more details on some deals, and talk soon.
Awesome, Joel. Thanks so much, buddy.
All
Take
right,
care.
thanks, Chris. Bye.